topic of discussion today is going to be on addiction. Now, I'm going to read the definition to addiction. I have my computer here, and I'm going to read the definition of what addiction means. You know, a lot of you probably know what addiction is, because addiction can be in a whole form of a lot of things. When we look, when we think of the word addiction, we automatically think of stuff like drugs, alcohol, um, and things like that. But addiction is the fact or condition of being addicted to a particular substance, thing, or activity. So a person who's obsessively obsessed with shooting pool has an obsession to pool, which is an addiction. A person who likes to be in a pool and likes to swim on a regular, that's an addiction they have. A person who indulges in like illegal substance is an addiction. A person who smokes has an addiction. A person who drinks has an addiction. So addiction can like affect us in so many different ways. And it's hard for the abuser. You know, a lot of people think that it's so easy for you to look at a person who's struggling or battling with a certain addiction and think that you can just tell that person so simply that this is what you need to be doing this, you need to stop doing that, you need to do this, and you need to stop doing that. It's not that easy for people who struggle with addictions. So, my thing is, when we do that, is we doing that to try to help them, or are we doing that because we're judging them? Are we doing that to help a person, or are we judging them? Because, as I said before, it's so easy for somebody looking from the outside, looking in, to say what somebody else should be doing or how you should be doing it, what you not need to be doing and what you need to be doing. You know, in the field that I'm going in, you know, I'm going to see a lot of this, you know, on a daily with people. And hell, I have an addiction myself. I smoke, you know, so my addiction is smoking. I have an addiction. And even this addiction is not easy to kick. You know, I know someday in my lifetime that I choose to do that, but it's up to me. And that's how it is with anybody else. Like, we can't just go out here telling people that this is what you need to be doing and this is what you not need to be doing. Instead of doing that and doing that with a person who's struggling and battling with something so strong like an addiction, why don't you show them different ways of or different activities that you can show them to do to get their mind off of it, and then you sit back and say, do you realize that you never even brought up your addiction, or you never even brought up that you wanted to smoke, or did you realize that you never even thought about a drink, or did you realize that you didn't never want to go off, you know, strain off somewhere because you wanted to get that high? You know, just be positive with it. It's just simple positivity that people need. So, is addiction a choice for most people? Do you feel like people who struggle with addiction made the choice to be in the position that they're in, or do you feel like just circumstances put people in positions to draw them to do things which could cause an addiction? It's a little bit of both to me, because it's definitely a choice. It's my choice. I'm putting myself in this example right now because I'm talking about my own struggles. So it's my choice. I chose to pick up a cigarette. I chose to smoke this cigarette. And I chose to let nicotine have some kind of effect on me to where now I want it and I need it and I gotta have it. But it's also going to be my choice to want to leave the addiction and leave it in the past. See, no matter what somebody say, and no matter how many times you say it to them, it's got to be up to them. It's got to be in their mind that they ready for it. You know, you can go sit down in front of a whole lot of therapists, and there's so many different addictions, you guys. I'm gonna look up here. There's so many different ones. We all know that there's drug abuse out here, illegal drugs, smoking, marijuana, alcohol, opioids, people popping pills. All of that is like really major addictions, and a lot of those addictions is claiming folks' lives, so it's not good. But there's such things as good addictions too. Like there's addiction cannot just be a substance, it's a thing. If you like to cook a lot, you have an addiction to being in your kitchen. Activity. If you like to skydive a lot, if you like to swim a lot, if you like to play basketball a lot, this is something that you must do on a regular. You must have it in your life. You must be doing it. It's an addiction. So there's such things as good addictions, and then there's the ones that brings the struggle. And a lot of the ones that we deal with and that we see in society is the ones that brings upon struggle, and it brings upon turmoil, and it destroys people. It destroys families because it's not just about the abuser, but what do you think that it does to the abuser's family? The abuser's significant other, if they have one, the abuser's wife, husband, the children, their parents, their family. Like everybody is pretty much affected when you're sitting back watching somebody who has an addiction, like slowly drifting off into something that you don't even recognize anymore. But what can you do to help them? Because see, what we do a lot is we go strong and hard with trying to tell them what to do. Like, you got to remember, these people are still adults, and you got to leave them with their dignity, but it solely has to be up to them. But just show them, because a lot of people don't like this, a lot of this. It's just like this. When you do a lot of this, a person may think like, oh, it sounds good, and they might watch you, and they might pay attention to you for a minute. But after watching you so long do a lot of this, and you ain't about an action behind what you're talking about, they're going to be looking at you like, listen, this person been saying that they're going to be doing this and then doing that for so long now, and we ain't seen no action. They ain't going to be believing in you too much after that. Most people like for you to show them the way instead of just doing all this and telling them things. Because I'm a person that like, for a person, if you don't talk about something, be about it. Don't just sit and talk about it. We all can do that all day long, but just be about it. So it's like you have to show them. First of all, you got to show them that you're not judging them, because a lot of them look at us as if we are already judging them, and it might be some truth to that. And can you blame them for not wanting to be around people? Because it does something to them really that a lot of us really don't understand, because a lot of us are not in their shoes. But you have to allow yourself and place yourself in somebody's shoes for a minute, to be able to empathize with what they're going through. And once you're able to do that, you'll foresee other ways to help them. And then once they see that you're so sincere about it, and they see that you're genuine about it, and that you actually hear no judgment, you just trying to show them some positive ways, because it's not going to happen overnight for nobody. It's not. It's just not going to happen overnight, and it just destroys a lot of families. It destroys a lot of our community, the society we live in. We sit back and watch this on the daily go on all the time. We step outside our doors and we can look at somebody. You can tell when somebody is off on, listen, I work in a hospital. I didn't see so many of them. And as I said before, I I'm gonna be in a field where I'm gonna be dealing with them on a personal note. So I have to be able to not pass judgment on them. You know, I have to be able to empathize with them. And a lot of us think like, oh, it's their fault that they're in a position they didn't have to choose to do this. When they didn't have to, because at the end of the day, like I said, I believe everything is up to a choice, and it's up to you, and everything is a choice. But I believe some people are driven to doing certain things like that because of traumatic events they may have experienced in their lifetimes and never really had a chance to handle that, or really never thought to even look into handling that because they don't want to face it head on. Because a lot of people don't want to see their traumatic events head on and face them. They don't want to relive those events again. So they running from them. And a lot of people who run from them use substance abuse like drugs, narcotics, opioids, and alcohol. They use those things as coping mechanisms for them to hide what they're feeling at that moment, to soak up the problem because they think that that's taking it away from them. And to them, that's their best friend. But you know, it's not taking away anything, because when you wake up, you still gonna have the same problem. So it's best that you just tag it head on, headstrong, and be ready for it. But that's just the thing. If you're not ready for it, you can't have nobody that ain't willing and ready. It's gotta be up to them. It no matter what. No matter what you say or no matter what you do. It's gotta be up to them. They have to be ready for it. They have to be open and willingly ready for the help. They gotta be open and really, really ready for somebody to guide them. Not tell them what to do. Guide them. Difference. You gotta be open to it. Because we can't pressure anybody into doing anything. But those are some of the things that we can do.